So what's up, Beanie? Thank you for coming
Not
on. I'm
much.
gonna I'm gonna give a little background here. This is Ashley Bean, aka Beanie. That is her superhero name. And Beanie, you've been a client of mine for how long now?
3 years.
Ah, 3 year, basically to the day. This is our 3 year anniversary, kind of working with one another. And I invited you on here today to kind of share your story. Number one, because to celebrate how far you've come, but number two, potentially to inspire other people to from where they're at to where they're going through, sharing how you did that and where you're at today. So let's get to it. Can you give people a little bit of background about who you are, what your life is like? Uh, and we'll just start with that. Who you are and what your life is like.
All right. So I am 34-year-old single mother of 6 kids between soon to be 5 and 14 years of age. So my life is chaos. I'm also a full-time licensed massage therapist, so my schedule is a little bit flexible with work and everything. But other than that, my life has just been a journey and just taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I always get stuck on this woman has 6 kids. Okay, that's a lot. I have a dog and a cat, and I'm overwhelmed. So every time I think about that, I'm like, holy hell! And work full time as a massage therapist, so it's tedious work. Like you're on your feet, you're, doing physical stuff. And we'll talk about it in a minute, but also made health and fitness a priority to where, I think a lot of people listening would be like, yeah, one kid, that's an excuse enough for me not to go after my health and fitness goals. You have six, a full-time job where you're on your feet and you have done some pretty amazing things with that, which we're going to talk about. So tell me a little bit, bring me back. This is your 3 year anniversary of us working together, but it goes deeper than that. Your 3 year anniversary of really just recommitting to life. So, can you tell me a little bit about where you were at 3 years ago? And we just there, where were you 3 years ago?
3 years ago, I was pretty much flat on my butt. This was actually the month that I wanted to unalive myself and not be on this planet anymore because I thought I was the worst person on this planet. And I didn't think I was worth being on this planet because not only for myself, but the people around me, I didn't feel like I was the best person. I felt toxic and angry, bitter, all just it piled up on me and I didn't see a way out. And plus, on top of that, trying to take care of the 6 kids. That was probably the biggest thing is having to take care of the 6 kids financially, emotionally. And I had just come out to my ex-husband a few months back, and that also took a toll with the divorce and again having to hold up the family because I was the main support.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, you were in a place that was probably your rock bottom, right? But can you tell me a little bit more? So you say, I didn't think that I deserved to be here. So why? What was going on for you in between, like in your mind, what were your thoughts at that time?
A lot of the thoughts were negative self-talk of not being worthy of one expanding. I didn't see any options of expanding, but to also find a life partner who I felt would be for me and my kids, as I called the bonus parent, because of a lot of things that I would read and just thinking that I messed up my life so bad. And again, it was mostly my behavior because how could I bring in somebody into the family when, again, I felt abusive, toxic? To me, it didn't feel worthy to bring anybody into my life because I couldn't even fix myself.
So I want to get a better understanding of when because you're saying abusive, toxic, but like how did that show up in your life? In what ways did you feel like you were toxic? How did it show up in your day to day?
Day to day, it mostly came out on my kids because I could put on this perfect little mask of I'm happy. Yes, everything's going good. I'm starting to step into myself. But the moment I stepped behind closed doors and I was around my kids were my biggest trigger. And I come home overwhelmed because yeah, any number of kids can overwhelm you. So as soon as I walked in, the door was shut, X was gone, I would snap. All of a sudden the mask came off. I was snapping. I was angry. All I wanted to do was my kids to go to bed so I could just have a moment of peace to myself. But again, with kids, you can't really have that. And so it came out as I wasn't treating my kids how they should have been treated. If anything, I felt like I was traumatizing them just like my parents traumatized me.
And first of all, I just want to thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that. I think a lot of people feel that way. Like I said, I only have a cat and a dog, but sometimes I feel like that toward my cat and So like I get it, and I think it's really amazing that you're able to share that and be vulnerable. So you were feeling all types of feels within yourself, all types of thoughts and limiting beliefs within yourself, and it was boiling up because you weren't really dealing with them in the sense I'm sure, did you even know how to deal with those thoughts?
A whirlwind of emotions. Weekends were torture. I would pretty much go, but again, you've got kids who are hungry or there. All you want to do is be left alone. But I didn't know how to calm down my nervous system. I didn't know how to breathe or to like step away from the situation. So that was the whirlwind. I didn't know what to do. I felt stuck.
So you felt stuck. You had all these things boiling up. You were going through a major life transition in yourself, having come out to your partner that you did. You met him in high school?
We met afterwards. So it was like a couple
Okay.
years after.
Okay. So when you were young, so you have six kids, you finally came out and you're understanding new things about yourself. You have a big transition in your life within yourself, but then also outside of yourself with a divorce, and now you're a single mom and dealing with all this stuff that also tired from working, coming home, needing time because you don't know how else to deal with it, but having to take care of six kids. And now it's coming out, toward them and it's being projected onto them. And which is in turn making things worse within you because you know that and you can see that and you feel guilty, but you don't know how to stop yourself from doing it because you don't know how to deal with those emotions. Like, is that how it felt?
Yeah, it was like being a child again, and it's like you're throwing this adult tantrum because I mean, yeah, I'm an adult, but all it felt like a child throwing a tantrum because it's like I just want to be left alone. Don't touch my things. And again, when you've got the little ones, it's like they don't understand. So it's like, okay, how as an adult, I never learned to regulate my emotions or figure stuff out. It was throw a hissy fit and then pray it goes away.
So, September 3 years ago, all of this had been boiling up, and you came to the conclusion that it would be better if you weren't on this earth. Like when you thought about your kids and you thought about that thought and leaving them, what made you feel like they would be better off without you?
I just thought that they would be better without that anger, that trauma. The trauma was coming out. I didn't realize it was trauma that was like screaming out. And I didn't want to put my kids through that because I went through that as a kid. I saw it through my parents, and I didn't want that on my kids. If anything, I wanted the complete opposite to traumatize them. So that was kind of like the wake up call or the, hey, you're not worthy to be here. So that was the biggest thing was seeing it in my kids because I could see it because my kids reacted just like I was. It was a constant battle and fighting to yell at the kids. They're yelling back at me. They're not listening. And that was my biggest trigger.
Yeah. So you came to the conclusion that, all right, they're better off without me. And so once you came to that conclusion, what happened then?
That was, I was starting to plan my own death. And when that started happening, then you started promoting the programs, which was, it was like the two paths of you can continue where you're going and end up in death, or you can try this and see if it'll help you live. So
Yes.
I had two roads.
So 3 years ago, this time was one of the first group coaching programs that I ever did, and I partnered with somebody else, and we called it, what was it? It was, do you remember what it was called?
It was the sisterhood core wound healing.
Yeah. So I partnered with a coach that I was working with, Monique Gaffney, amazing human that I met in an earlier experience, and we started promoting this. And you took a chance. I remember you telling me, I just thought, hey, what do I have to lose? Let me try this one thing. So awesome, awesome for you for taking that chance. And so when you joined that group coaching program, like what happened? Because obviously we're 3 years here later, you're still here and we'll talk about what that has looked like for you in the past 3 years. But in that first, because it was a 2 week program, so in that 2 weeks, what changed for you? Like what happened when you showed up? Like all the things. Maybe I remember at first you were like, I don't know that I should be like. Tell us all the things.
I will say the first time I took the course and it was bringing up a lot of my fears, especially when it was, oh, we're going to pair you up so you'll have one-on-one with somebody else. That alone about made me run because I'm like, the hell am I going to trauma dump on another person? But it was that night that you messaged me and you told me, hey, this is normal. This is what your brain does to survive. So it's like, okay, maybe I can take one more step. Let's see if Jamie knows what she's talking about and I'll take the next step. And I showed up the next day and I talked to someone and realized, oh, they're not judging me. This is a safe space. Like we're all going through the same crap. It just looks a little different. Just continuing to take those steps, baby steps. I mean, every day is a baby step, and learning that I can do this, I can take the time for myself and basically go back to my past, but I had the support that I needed. So it was showing a lot of the scary stuff and it was very triggering. And that was something that I knew I had to push past. And going back to my most traumatizing memories and seeing it as the adult and then seeing my little self, it's like, okay, it's not as bad looking at it as an adult, and that this is something that I can conquer. I can get through those fears and see what I did to survive and what those coping mechanisms were back in the past. But then I also saw the main person who was traumatizing me. I could all of a sudden see their pain, not as a child, but as the adult, and I could see it and realize this is where my trauma came from. This is where my coping came from. Now let's correct this.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot's happened in 3 years. We've done a lot of programs together since then. I've grown as a coach. That was my first experience in group coaching, and we've adapted. And there's such a long journey. We don't even know that we have enough time to go over it all today. But ultimately, where you were was a place of like you were like, man, we just got to do something about it. And right away, you got kind of pushed in this place where you were able to expand your awareness. So understand that, yeah, my coping mechanisms now are what my brain did to protect me. And I'm still using them, but it no longer serves me. And you were also able to see the people that that caused that in a different light from a place of compassion. And when you were able to do that, how did that help you? Or did it help you?
It helped me a lot to start seeing that compassion and realize that I do have it within myself and to start focusing it on myself. Because as the former people pleaser, I had to learn to forgive myself, not seek it from outside. I had to do that. So that was the biggest thing that I had to start learning was to forgive myself, to love myself for who I am, and to know that I'm still perfect the way that I am. Yeah, there are things that I want to fix for myself, not for because someone told me to. It's because I realized it.
So, over time, we've gone through many programs, and Know Thyself and Be Thyself, which connected us deeper, getting a deeper understanding of ourselves. We've done different programs. So, my question for you is, how have you shifted? How have things shifted for you in the past 3 years since you took the chance and started in this coaching experience?
I'll say the biggest thing that shifted was realizing how powerful I am, not just the fact of like the strength, but just that I can either walk away or I can call upon the things that I want. And also realizing that the things that are in my path are going to make me stronger, more powerful versus to push me down. I mean, yeah, will it push me down temporarily? It will. But I also get up because it gives me that time to reflect and figure out a way around the obstacle, the challenge, however you want to look at it, but even having the things that I want, because never in a million years, if someone came up to me 3 years ago and told me how my life was going to pan out, of how I'm going to travel, how I'm going to have more clients, I'm going to make more money, my children are going to be happier. That was the biggest thing. My children. My children have been my biggest visual example because the changes that I do for myself, I see in them and as they're growing and just being able to be there to help them through their life and to just kind of be there for them to find themselves. But yeah, if someone came up to me 3 years ago and said that this is going to happen, I would have laughed in their face and said, "You're a joke." But it's
Yeah,
like now here I am laughing and being grateful.
yeah. I mean, and you mentioned some things here, but you didn't mention a major thing. So one of the things Beanie had said was first thing, and that was to travel. Had you ever left? You're in Kansas or Oklahoma? I always get confused. Kansas City,
Kansas City, Missouri.
Missouri. Okay, so you're in Missouri. Had you ever left? Maybe you left the state, but have you ever like flown? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
So actually, that's kind of funny to bring that up. So the only places I really traveled was either to Branson or to Tennessee, which happened to be. And I talked to my mother about this. She says those were the safe travels because those were the ones that your dad wouldn't get angry as much. So I realized that I
Mm.
hadn't even broken a cycle that I was also still going in like the comfort zones of traveling. So when Costa Rica came up 3 years ago, and I was like, this, I realized that this was something I had asked for before I even met you or even gotten to Club Lilies was I had said that I need a trip that I can get away from everybody, family, kids, everybody that I'm connected with, I needed to get away because I knew those voices were too loud in my head. And so when Costa Rica popped up, I was like, this sounds perfect. And I've never been out of the US. That was scary as hell. Especially, I hadn't been on a plane in 20 years.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about that. So what Beanie's referring to is I ran this trip 3 years ago, our first trip ever to Costa Rica. And I could imagine having only traveled to those places, going to a place like that outside of the country on a plane is scary in itself, right? Limiting beliefs come up, I'm sure. But in addition to that, as a mom, oftentimes people are giving you dirty looks or judging you if you go somewhere without your kids. Now, you have six fucking kids in a full-time job where you're on your feet. You think she might need some time to herself, absolutely. And so you decided to go on this trip, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But in the face of people being like, "You're going to leave your kids, you're going away," like those are now in addition to the limiting beliefs around travel and the places you were that were safe for you, or and getting on a plane and leaving the country, without your kids. Now you have all these people kind of judging you for doing that, which brings on more. Am I a good mom? Am I a good parent? What am I doing? So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so at first, like none of that really popped up, but for myself, it was an inner thing because that was something I grew up with. Like, once you become a parent, like your kids have to go everywhere with you, and they're basically saying the parent-child relationship is everything has to be clingy. When reality is like as parents, it's like we need to be able to take that time away from our partners or our kids. And there were some people that I tell about the trip that I go, oh yeah, I do the same thing where I just like I disconnect from my family. I'll go like no guilt. And I don't like the first trip I may have had a little bit of guilt, but after that, I was like, no more guilt. We're doing this. Needed for like the battery recharge. And even just to connect with new people that are all over the US, it's like I just want to go make friends. I just want to go connect. And I don't have the guilt to leave my kids. Like I will go take a trip on my own. I tell my ex and sometimes he'll mumble and grumble, but it is what it is, and I'm just like, you know what, deal with it, you're your kids too. But the stories that I can bring back is my kids will like ask me, like they'll ask me questions, and so in a way I feel like they can live through my travels even if I can't take them with me. I can give them that inspiration so that when they are older and they want to go travel, they can go do it. Like they have my full blessing, because sometimes I feel like kids, that's what they're looking for. They want that the blessing, and I'm just like, go for it, run.
Yeah. I mean, you're giving them the ability to think bigger than the situation that they're in right now, whereas, you didn't necessarily get that. Now, let's talk about once you got there. So Beanie comes on this trip. First of all, physically looking at you, totally different person than 3 years ago. When I met Beanie, that was the first time Beanie and I met in person. And on the trip, at that time, I had a fitness coach with me, Jamie Filer, and her wife, Katie Filer, and you met them. And so you met them and paired up with them. But I remember us sitting on boat. We were on a little boat cruise in the middle of the water. There's like this awesome backdrop. It's like mountains or volcanoes in the background, and we're in the water, and there's like dolphins jumping out. And you turned to me and you told me your story, which I hadn't known, but as to, hey, I was ready to take my life, and then I saw you post about that group, and now we're here in the middle of Costa Rica on this water, and everything's changing. But at that time, you know, your health wasn't what it was today because you were dealing with your kids, you were dealing with your job, you didn't have time for yourself or necessarily know that you should make that time for yourself. Now, since that time, physically, how has your health changed?
My health has changed some huge. I mean, that time I was 245 pounds, and there was a lot of limiting beliefs because so one of the things I always like to tell the story, the zip line, because that one really brought me down being on that zip line because I couldn't hold myself up to break. And so I got stuck on the first line and they had to come get me. That alone was about ready to make me stop doing everything, which I guess this is like one of those to keep going type of stories because I got onto that second platform and even though they gave me an extra harness and said, here, this will help you and you'll be able to stop yourself, I still had a panic attack on the middle of that platform and I couldn't move. I couldn't move. I don't remember hearing anything. I thought I blacked out. And then when I heard her, Jamie, boxing me or coaching me through box breathing, that's when I kind of woke up and it's like, okay, okay, nervous system's calmed down. Let's take this step. If I get stuck on this line, then I absolutely know that zip lining is not for me. After that, I had so much fun on that zip line because I was able to get through that second platform and get to the third. So that was a boost. But that brought awareness to my own health of how I couldn't even, my body physically could not hold itself up. And so when the filers were there and they were talking about what they believed in, how they believe fitness should be, it felt alignment with what I believed in. And so I just kept listening, kept listening. And then my biggest question towards the end of that trip was, who was I going to pick, Jamie or Katie? That was the toughest decision I had, is who am I going to pick to be the main coach?
Yeah.
But I'll say like the universe also had a hand in that and helped me figured out that I would pick Katie as my coach just because of some of her beliefs, her goals. I was like, well, I'm perfect for those, so I guess I'm signing up with you then. So with my health, it has changed so much because one, I was already becoming aware of how much not only my weight, but my old habits, my mindset was killing me. It was still slowly killing me. So being able to flip those, and now I feel healthier, I feel more alive, I can actually play with my kids. And it's funny how sometimes they'll make little comments like, we were running to the bus stop and my daughter's like, Mom, how are you running so fast? I'm like, I don't even feel like I'm running that fast. But it's like, even my kids will make the comments and they're just like, Mom, you look healthier, you look stronger. And it's even given them the motivation a little bit because sometimes I'll hear them, yeah, when I become a teenager, I want to work out. I want to be as fit as my mom or be as healthy as my mom. So that's, like I said, it's a ripple effect when you start with yourself and it ripples out to everyone else.
Yeah. So let's talk about that because that we went zip lining. That was one of our excursions. And so what Beanie's talking about is, and I stayed last. I wanted to make sure everyone got through before I went on the zip line, right? And so because she got stuck in the first one in the middle, and like, not only were you like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable, like scary, but also now, people are looking at you or you feel that way or whatever. And I'm sure it mentally took a toll on you. And so the next platform we get to, I could tell she's freaking out. And I'd already been working with you for a little bit. So we did some box breathing to calm her nervous system, but also I just coached her through it. I'm like, yo, we got you. We will wait all freaking day till you do, like, don't worry about holding people up. Don't take your time. You're going to do this. And you made it through it. And that was a story that you tell often because when you got to the other side, you felt empowered. Hit a roadblock. And this is like such a story that also represents life at a bigger, or even what we do in coaching at a different level. You got there was a roadblock, you had quote unquote failed in the past, but here we go. We're going to take a new approach. You got your harness, and then the biggest thing was you already had the harness, but you were like, I don't care, I don't want to do this. It's mindset. I was there to help you at that point, but then you understood. You went and you were like, yeah, I did that. I still, this is fun. Oh my God, yay, right? And you went through it, and it opened up a door for you thinking about your health and how you can improve that. And so you met Jamie and Katie, and since then, I mean, not that physical pounds matter much in the grand scheme of things. I think that health does, but Beanie looks physically like a very different person. Her biceps are goals, like her arms, I want them. Um, how much weight have you dropped? What is, well, not even just weight, but I'll say this before we even get into that. 6 kids, y'all. Before I was a freedom coach, I was a health and fitness coach. And people often their excuse was their kids. Okay. And they maybe have one or two and they don't have time. They have a job and they have their kids and there's no time. Again, Beanie has 6 of them. Single mom, full-time job on her feet. And you still, this woman does 10,000 steps before I even get out of bed in the morning. So tell me a little bit about, physically what's different for you now and what your schedule looks like, how you were able to implement these things that you learned from Katie Filer. And then, obviously the mindset comes in as well to keep going when you want to stop. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yeah, with all that, with everything that I have learned, not only can I pass it to my kids, but I also pass it to my clients. So yeah, I'm on my feet all the time. I pretty much beat up my clients. So it's not the fact that if I do like the luxury type of massage. I mean, I stretch, I lift limbs all day, but I can tell when somebody else has their own trauma. Like I can feel where it's stuck in the body. So not only
Mm,
that, but it's like also feeling it in myself. So it's able to pass on that information and let others know that, hey, I'm feeling this, like maybe this is something you need to work on. So I can like push them to help themselves and maybe they can find a therapist, a coach, or even like start their workout journey. Cause so many people come up to me and be like, how are you doing this? It's like I take it one step at a time. And I learn within myself of how to it's like like learning the language of the universe. I'm learning the language of my own body because working with Katie, it's a case of, okay, we see this is happening. What is our body telling us? Because even like weight is just a number on the scale, but I can tell that that weight is also telling me something. And it's something, okay, maybe I need to prepare for something. Maybe I need to work on something. Because that is the biggest thing is training your body for everyday life, not just to get into fitness, but like if you're traveling or you've got your kids or you just happen to notice a change, you can work around it.
Yeah. So since that time, you're down how many pounds?
I'm down, let's see, I'm 144 now.
Okay. So healthy weight. Um, Not only that, but just your habits and which help you fuel your body with. That's all changed. Like I said, you get up in the morning and you walk with 6 kids. You walk 10,000 steps before I even get out of bed. And you're able to do that. And I've never once heard you make an excuse for it, which is absolutely amazing and it says a lot for your mindset. But you spoke a little about what you do for work, which leads me to the next part. So before we started working together, how did you feel about, like, I know you love massage and everything, but how did you feel about your job and going to your job every day?
I was actually burned out at the time. Like I felt the drag, and even though part of me loved it and I didn't want to give it up because of back in 2019 I so still massage therapy, but I was also working at a hospital because I was burning out. I needed something different. And then fast forward a couple of years later, I quit the hospital because I'm like, the hospital is definitely not my job. Massage is my job. Like I already knew massage was my career, but I was still dragging because there was something missing. Like it was definitely my mindset because my mindset was not the healthiest back then either. So knowing what I know now and knowing how powerful I am to help my clients, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, like I can talk about this stuff and this clicks for them because they'll be like, I never thought of it that way. And then they'll
Mm,
have like a little trauma dump, emotional, whatever you want to call, and they go, I did not mean to do that. I'm like, yeah, you did. Your body was releasing. So it's like, it doesn't affect me. Like, I'm okay. Like, this is what needs to happen. So just being able to do that for my clients is huge. And then they continue to come back because they're like, I need more of this.
yeah. So since then, not only that, I'm sure it was that you were able to be on your feet longer and everything as you got healthier in your own body. That's one piece of it. But the other piece is it sounds like you began to get connected to your purpose. So you're an amazing, from what you tell me, I've experienced you in person a few times, but you're amazing at what you do. And in the work that we've done together over the past 3 years, your mind has expanded in a way that also relates to your career that has lit you up, that became a passion and a purpose of yours, where now you understand the correlation between your body and your trauma, your body and your triggers, your body and your thoughts, and how that gets stored in your body and how everything is connected in some way. And you're able to educate your clients on that. And your book's full, and like people want to come back to you because you're so good. So in that first step of you're just like, man, I'm going to take this chance and joining this group. Not only did it change your physical health, your energy, it changed the fact that you got expanded your mind. You have continuously pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone in travel. So since then, tell me all the places you've been since your first trip outside the country to Costa Rica.
Let's see, we've been to Costa Rica twice, Tulum, Mexico. Me and my oldest daughter went to Japan for a school trip. That's about all the places outside of the US. And then I did go to the stargazing festival that was in August. So that was quite a leap to like not go with the lilies, but have some lilies with me. So that was different. And then Florida has been the other place that I've traveled to within the US.
Yeah, and we're headed to the Galapagos in March, and you're headed to Greece with your kids again, or where are you going with your kids?
Yeah, so with my oldest, we're going to Greece next summer.
Okay, so you've traveled the world, you're a world traveler. You've got yourself to a healthy place physically and mentally, although we both know that that's a practice, right? We continue, like, it's not like, oh, we're healed. But also now more focused in your career path and what you want to do there. So, not just going in and giving a massage, right? You think of it at a much deeper level. You know, I know you've read The Body Keeps Score, and different things along that. So tell me a little bit about how your career has changed, your vision around that, and where you see yourself going because of the changes and the mind shifts or mindset shifts and different things that have happened the past 4 years. Where do you see yourself moving toward?
I definitely see myself moving towards also becoming a coach. And as I see it, I want to help people become free from their own bodies. I feel like our bodies are vessels, and depending on how you treat them, they can either be a trap or they can just be like a ship and you can sail wherever you want to without a care in the world type of attitude. Because again, I see those emotions. I see people, they'll walk in and like, you just see the depression of how they're slumped and they're just hurting and they're just like, I just want some relief from my pain. And it's like, okay, we're going to go a little deeper than just this physical pain. And I tell them that it's like, I prefer to go deeper than just this physical. Yes, I am a massage therapist, but there's more to it than the muscles just tightening. Like there's something there. So being able to help people and coach them through the ways that our bodies hold on to things and how we can get them released is where I see where I want to go. I want to help people become free
Yeah.
from all the limiting beliefs, the emotions, the all of it, because people are like, it is what it is, or I'm just stuck like this. No, that's not how the world is. That the world is how we make it. It is our world. We're in a big world, but we're little worlds within the big world, and we can control what is around us.
So, how does it feel to have a new sense of purpose in what you do and all that, like with your career?
I mean, it feels amazing to be able to be that inspiration, that example, because that's one word I've never thought would be in my description is when people say you're an inspiration. It's like me. What am I doing? Like I don't never felt it, but then when you go along with the story, it's like, oh, now I see it. And then I see it with my kids that I am their who they look up to. I am their inspiration versus them trying to search and find their own inspiration. Yeah, they can still have that, but they have like somebody directly in front of them mostly 24/7 and realize that there is more to life than just work, having the kids, being married, whatever. They're seeing it through me that there is more to life.
Okay. So, I wanted you to come here and share your story because I know it and I brag about you all the time. Like, just, I think you're an inspiration as well. Like, literally, because you really have on paper every reason to not get up early and work out, and like you do. And you don't listen to those because I think anyone that you went to and was like, yeah, well, I have 6 kids and I work as a massage therapist full time and I'm a single parent would be like, oh, well, okay, so I understand. You want to go home and go to bed. Like, I get that, right? Like, that would be normal for people. But you don't accept that. You are like, yeah, and I'm not going to use that as a reason not to, empower myself, like continue to do these things. Not only that, your kids are now your reason to do that because you're inspiring them. And that's breaking, if we're really going to geek out and get into it, breaking generational chains and trauma. You're able to, a lot of our trauma that we have isn't even from our own life. It's things that are handed down to us in our genes and in our cells from the generations before us. And unless somebody decides to break that, it continues to go on. So you really are changing the world. Now you have 6 little humans that are going to go out and do their thing in the way that you did and what they learned from you. And then they'll spread out and it ripples out. Um, Sorry, I just went off on a tangent there. So what makes you most excited about that? And my question for you is, a lot of times I don't know. I think it's changing where people definitely see the value and not even just coaching, right? At the end of the day, it's even, you could do it on your own. Challenging yourself to listen to podcasts or reading books or finding YouTube videos or, in the past before I got into this, that would last about a week or two and then I'd stop. But finding the ability within yourself to continue to do that, what does that mean to you? How has it changed your life? And what is the value in it that you can share with others who might be where you were, which was like, man, I don't want to be here. I don't even think that. I think people would be better off without me. Why should they take the steps toward, and maybe it's not coaching or a coaching group for them. Maybe it is just beginning to put themselves first in different ways or whatever. Why should they do that?
Do it just to make yourself feel good. I mean, that's been the biggest thing, my biggest focus of what makes me feel good. Because once I'm feeling good, my cup is full and then I can help others. One of the things is like my morning routine, like you happen to bring up the 10,000 steps before you wake up. that's one of the things that makes me feel good is as soon as I get up, I'm not hitting the snooze button and then resetting everything in my body to go back to sleep and then jolt awake. I'm getting up, I'm getting my movement in. So it's focusing on everything that's going to make me feel good to put my energy into the right spot to help everyone that's around me and also to help myself to protect myself of what's going to come because at the end of the day, we can't control everything outside of our environment, but we can control how we respond. So if I focus on my energy and and keep it onto that feel good plane, I can contain that negative hateful attitude that I always regretted. So it's that so basically what I'm going is finding all the little things that just make you feel good and to uplift your own energy. At the beginning of the day, you should be the first focus, not the kids, because my kids are still asleep when I go for a walk. So as they're sleeping, I go for my walk and I am my first priority before they get up. Because I also know that with the six kids, it's overwhelming, especially first thing in the morning. And that's not how I want to start my day is being overwhelmed. I want to start it with a good mindset, full of energy. And then it's throughout the day of how to maintain and continue to fill my cup. So that is like the biggest value is focusing on myself and how I can maintain my energy throughout the day.
So in the past, when I had a podcast, I'd be like, what do you want to tell your 13-year-old self? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to ask you this question. 3 years ago, you were in a really interesting place and you had a choice in front of you. And there were two paths that you could take, and you chose the one that led you here. What would you yourself, Beanie, 3 years from now, what would you say going back to that person then? Not even to get them to take this path because you took it, but what do they need to know about who you've become and what they're capable of becoming in just a short amount of time like that?
I would go back 3 years and I will tell them that they are worth it. They are worth the change. They are worth whatever is going to come their way, and that they are a bright, shining star waiting to explode. Because that was the thing is I didn't feel the light anymore. um, and that they're at some point they are going to change the world. They are going to learn to change the world, and even if it's not like the whole world, it's just the small worlds around them. And that's what I'm going to tell them is that they are loved, they are enough, you are smart, and you're going to get through this. This is what I
Yeah.
would tell them.
And Beanie, how do we change the world?
In order to change the world, we got to change our own.
Yep. Change the world by changing your world. And you changed your world tremendously. And it is rippling out. And by sharing your story and coming here and being vulnerable with us and sharing, some things that people are probably afraid to share. That's another way that you're changing the world outwardly. You change your world and now you're sharing with other people how you change your world. And that's amazing. As you know, because you just signed up, we have an upcoming group coaching program. It's the last one I'm going to be doing for a while because I'm changing my world too. I'm going to focus on my one-on-one coaching. But so I have one coming up now, oftentimes people might not think it's going to be worth it because it is an investment. What do you say to those people that might be like, yeah, that would be nice, but if it was free maybe or something. But they also know that a lot of the things that you said about where you were, they can relate to. What would you say to those people?
I would say to take the leap, at least take one program, just because we don't know everything. I think as adults, we think that we know everything, but we don't know everything, especially when it comes to ourselves, because I know we're going to be learning about the nervous system and how to regulate our system, which is like the biggest thing. That is, I will say our nervous system is what contains the loudest voices, and we need to learn to quiet those voices so that we can listen to that little itty bitty voice that we were taught to ignore. Um, that was the other thing is I didn't realize that the teeny tiny voice that I would hear whispering was the actual voice that I needed to hear because I had all these other loud voices screaming over it.
Mm.
And it was my younger self saying, "Hey, hey, like we need to fix something." Um, so that's the one thing is that we need to start learning because we're not taught as children to regulate our emotions um and as adults we don't know how to do that, so how can we teach something that we don't even know?
Mm.
um and yeah, going back because I the first program I didn't even know if it was going to be worth it or not. I didn't know how much it was going to impact my life, but that was a leap of faith that I had to take on my part and know that I needed help. And so I took that first program and I'm like, oh, that kind of felt really good. And then so I jumped into it again because there was 2 months of it. And then when the program was done and there was no more promotions or programs, I literally felt my heart stop when there was no more promotions of a program. I was, so I was like, nope, I still need to learn. And as adults, we're never too old to learn. Like people want to say, oh, once you get to a certain age, you stop learning. That's complete BS. Um, so that's what I would have to say is start learning to take care of yourself now.
Yeah. And if you want to join us, I'll put some links and get to share that you can check it out. But Beanie, I'm proud of you, dude. Like just a crazy past 3 years and just seeing your tremendous leaps and bounds and from where you started it with throwing me a Hail Mary pass of like and ending up here was incredible. And I'm excited to see where you go, especially like, you're inspiring me to learn more about our body and different things and how that's tied to emotions and like just learning all this stuff is fun to have you along for the ride. Thank you for sharing. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
I will say one more thing. I'm going to bring up age again because I know a lot of people say, well, once I'm this age, I'm just falling apart, I'm breaking down. You're never too old to fix even your own body because I always hear getting old sucks. My opinion, it doesn't suck. If anything, it gives us the opportunity to continue to learn, whether that be physical, emotional, or spiritual. So if this is something that someone needs to hear that you're not too old, it's time to jump on the train and start taking care of yourself now before you're forced to have to take care of yourself, and it's going to be way harder when you're forced to do it versus your own choice to fix yourself or heal yourself.
Yes. Awesome. All right. We'll leave them with that mic drop. I appreciate you. If you guys,
Ah,
if you want to follow along with Beanie, she's going to be posting a lot more on her social media about her journey. So I'll put a link to that in any of the comments so that they can follow along with you too. And I appreciate you, dude. You're doing an amazing job.
thank you, Jamie, for having me, and this was exciting. This was fun to do.